What's up, people? Just doing a quick overview of a knife I just got. I've probably had it for about a week now. But it's the Peter Rassenti Snafu Flipper. It's a full titanium integral frame lock. The blade steel on this is CTS XHP. It's a pretty large knife. For comparison, I'll just do this off the, right out of the beginning. Here is that's a Strider SMF, the CC version. They're a very comparable knife size-wise. The Snafu is about 9 1/8 inches long. It's just a tad bit longer than the SMF. The handle length is about 5 1/4 on this. The blade length, they have it listed at like 4 1/2, 4 3/4, something like that. But in all reality, from the very tip of the handle here to the end of the blade is less than 4 inches. And you get about 3 1/2 inches of cutting length, almost, exactly 3 1/2 inches of cutting length, cutting edge, I should say, on the blade. So it's a fairly large knife. I will do this while I still have this out here. Is the very comparable in width too. The Snafu does look bigger like this, but it's actually right around the same size. The SMF's contoured, so at the thickest point, the SMF is actually a little bit thicker than the Snafu. And the blade stock, they're right around the same size, but I actually think the Snafu is just a tad bit thicker than the SMF. So, as far as the blade. Onto the knife. This thing is just really comfortable, no matter which way you hold it. In the choil, like that, or I guess reverse grip too. Guys, I don't really ever use reverse grip or anything, so it is comfortable like that, but like I said, I don't really use reverse grip for anything. The blade steel, if I didn't say it, is CTS XHP. This one is a little different. It doesn't have the fuller. I talked to Peter R. on the forums, and he said that he did very few like this, probably about 4, with no fuller, just a totally sterile blade. So for me, it really didn't matter. I do like the fuller, but I really do like it like this too. This is just what came up on the dealer, so I picked it up. But definitely enjoy this look too. The detent on this is really strong. Just sucks the blade down there, and the flipping action is great. It's really just amazing. It's probably the best, or top 2 of flippers I've ever owned. But I pretty much think it's the best. You can obviously hold it straight up and down and flick it with no wrist at all. And if you can do that with a flipper, I'm pretty satisfied. This one definitely exceeds that test. But if a flipper does that, I'm pretty much happy with it. But this one is definitely, just a great flipper. The jimping on this knife is a little aggressive, but it's not too bad. It's not what I would call uncomfortable. I use the Medford Praetorian G is what I really can't stand in jimping. It just felt like, for me, holding on to the back of a circular saw blade, you know what I mean? So, I'm not saying it's a bad knife or anything like that, so if you guys like that knife, so be it. Everyone has their different opinions, but for me, that can kill a knife, and it did for me. I didn't want it after that. It's just, if I have to put on gloves to comfortably use a knife, I don't want it. But this is definitely not to that level. This jimping down here is to that level, but it really doesn't hit my hand at all. Not really. It doesn't hit my hand in any grip I hold the knife in, so it's more or less for aesthetics, so it doesn't bother me. I do have probably medium to large size hands. I don't like have sausage fingers or anything like that. I have pretty skinny long fingers, so that detent is really nice. The grooves in the handle along with the jimping do provide for a decent grip. Full tie knives can get a little slick when you're sweating, but it definitely gives you a little more purchase to the knife, so I do like that. And I do love the overall look of this knife. It's extremely comfortable with the choil, and I do like knives with choils. The reason I picked this up is basically it had a little bit of everything I liked. I do like titanium frame locks, I like a choil, and flippers are my favorite opening mechanism on a knife. So, and mainly just because they're fun to play with, guys. I'm not going to lie, I obsessively flick my knives, and I do use all my knives. If I don't use my knives, I tend to get rid of them. I do get rid of them. Because for me, I'm a collector and a user, so if I can't use it, I can't appreciate the knife. And that's just my opinion. I know there's just people out there that just straight collect knives, and that's fine too. I don't care what anyone does. This is just my opinion. and that's what I do with knives. I mean, if you just collect them just to fondle them and shit, that's cool. That's your thing. But I'm not to the level like Cliff Stamp or anything like that either. Like, I'm not out there, you know, beating my knives up, or I want the perfect edge geometry or anything like that. As long as it does good for the task that I use it at, which I think is probably what most people use knives to do, it's fine with me. But besides that, the pocket clip is nice. It carries well in the pocket. This knife really does not at all feel as big as it is. Maybe it's because it's kind of slim, but not, like I said, it's not overly slim. It's kind of right there in the middle. It's really comfortable, but it does not feel bulky or as big as it is in the pocket, or, you know, when you're using it. So I do like the fact that the whole knife is pretty much sterile. The only logo you have on it is Peter's maker mark right under the pocket clip there on the lock bar cutout. So I do like the pivot a lot on this. It's kind of like a dome shaped, just plain, but I enjoy that out of a knife, when you can take just a nice, simple, well, you know, good looking design and execute it well. I mean, I definitely think he did that. So if you're thinking about it, I'd say definitely do it. The lockup on this is nice and early. There's no play in any direction. I mean, this thing is really rock solid. So the tolerances are nice and tight. If I can get the zoom in a little better. I mean, there's barely any room between the blade and the handles, and the knife is dead centered. There is a lanyard hole in the back. I don't ever really use a lanyard, so I don't care about that, but I know some people do. The only real downfall of this knife, I wouldn't even say downfall, the only issue I have is the lock bar tension is really tight, and I do obsessively flick my knives. So it does kind of get a little irritating on the thumb after a long time of doing it. But besides that, the only, and this is what I really think the downfall of this knife is, for me at least, is just it's the price of the knife. I mean, this isn't a really expensive knife to me. I'm very comfortable in around like the $6 to $8.50 range to spend on custom knives or whatever, or knives in general, and that's where I'm comfortable at, because like I said, I am a user, so I do have to be able to carry it and use it and not feel guilty about it. Price isn't always contingent upon that, and you know, sometimes I just have a really great looking knife and I just can't get myself to carry it to mess it up. I do appreciate the artwork and everything that goes into making a knife, so sometimes I can't get myself to use it, you know, too, I guess, pretty of a knife. But price, really over $1,000 is really a lot of money for me to spend on a knife, just because of the fact that I don't want to feel guilty about, you know, using and carrying it. These do go for around 13 to 16 at dealers, so I definitely got this at the extreme end, extreme lower end of the price tag from dealers, so I was happy about it. But for me, it was just kind of a grail, something I've always wanted since I've seen it. I've always wanted a piece of, you know, Peter Rassenti's work. I like the Druid, I like the Alpha Integral, and then when I seen this flipper, I just really loved it and figured, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I've already carried it and used it a bit, but not enough to really comment on it. And you can see I already got, you know, a scratch from my handcuff key on it. So I do plan on using and carrying it, and I have been. So, but that price tag draws me off, because I'm not just a collector. If I was a collector, I'd be totally fine with that price, because I mean, it's definitely fun to play with and, you know, flick it open and close, because like I said, the action on this is really outstanding. I mean, it just flies open and, you know, it takes no effort. I mean, it's really a great flipper, guys. But I do use my knives, so it was a little rough for me. But I'm actually glad I scratched it with my handcuff key, because now that's all it took from me. Now it's fair game. But really great knife. If you're comfortable spending that amount of money on a knife, I'd say definitely do it. To me, it's totally worth it, you know. And that's all I can say about that, guys. So hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, oh well, I can only do so much. But take care, guys. Appreciate you watching. I'm out.